thought about doing a book haul this month, but I didn't really buy that many books. I did read a lot of books, however, so we're gonna do a wrap up for once instead of another book haul. First book I read this month was Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scamander or J.K. Rowling, however you want to look at it. Most people know what this is, especially with the movie out now, so I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot. All I will say is that I really loved it, and I want like half of the creatures that are described in this book. The one problem I did have with it was I would have liked pictures, because, I mean, you're describing all these creatures, and it's literally like this every page, with a couple little like doodly type pictures. But yeah, I would have wanted like full page pictures, and maybe since they're already doing like the illustrated version of the Harry Potter books, maybe at some point we'll get an illustrated Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Second book that I read this month was The Call by Peter O'Gillen. I think it's a standalone. It's pretty good. It's set in Ireland, and basically at some point during your adolescence you get, basically transported to the fairies world, and they try and kill you, and if you can survive 24 hours in their world, it's like 3 minutes in our world, then you get to survive. But if you don't, you die. Your body comes back a tangled mess, and sometimes they mutilate you. And yeah, it's about how they're being trained for it, and who survives, who doesn't. A lot of people die. That was a pretty okay book. Not one of my favorites, but still a good read. Next, I reread Cirque du Freak, The Vampire's Assistant. I actually listened to it as an audiobook. I have Overdrive, which is a library app, and if you have a library card, you can log in and check out their ebooks, audiobooks, whatever, and I just wanted something short that I could listen to that didn't have a waitlist on it, so I reread the second book in the series, and as you can tell, this was a very well-loved book when I was in middle school and elementary school, was I think when I actually started reading those. Next book I read was Midnight Jewel, which is the second book in the Glittering Court series. It's by Rochelle Mead, who also wrote Vampire Academy, so she is a really great author, and I really love her. It's more of a companion than a sequel to the Glittering Court. It follows one of the other girls that's in the court and kind of her side of things and her story, and I really like the way that, it kind of tied into everything that happened in the first book, because obviously the timelines are exactly the same, it's just different characters, and yeah. Also, note to publishers, don't put stickers on books that aren't stickers, okay? Like, no one wants this. I don't care that it was only available at Target because this is a signed edition and it has a poster in it. Like, yeah, that's great and all. Put that on a sticker. But make it a sticker that I can take off. Because I don't want this. No one wants this. Okay, moving on. The next book that I read was Siege and Storm. It's the sequel to Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I've had these books forever. I have them in paperback and as ebooks, and I just never really got around to reading them. It's probably been at least a year since I read the first one. So it took me a minute to get back and realize what exactly was going on, but I picked it up pretty quickly because I tend to remember things once I get into it. I'm trying to think of anything that I can really say about this book without totally spoiling. The first book, it reads more like, it's still YA, but to me it reads more like a younger YA, because normally when I read something, I prefer it to be closer to the adult side than the children's side of YA, but it's still a good book, it's still worth reading, and it was a pretty quick read for me. Surprisingly, this book seems to be the thickest out of the three. I don't know if that's just a trick of publishing, or if the second book actually is the biggest. And I'm hoping that, even though it was good, it still had a little bit of second book syndrome, and that the third one is better when I eventually get to it. The sixth book. Yeah, sixth book that I read. Yeah. The sixth book that I read in the month of July was The Seance in Apartment 10. I'll put a picture somewhere because I just had it as an ebook. I realized like 2 days before I got charged for Kindle Unlimited again that I had Kindle Unlimited, that I had never canceled my trial version of it, so I got charged for it for a month that I wasn't expecting to. That's always awesome. But I was like, I still have 2 days. I can find something to read to get something out of it, and so I think I'd already downloaded the Seance in Apartment 10, and I can't remember the author right now, but it was more of a novella, and it was kind of like your basic horror. I think it leaned more towards adult than YA. And it's basically this girl moves into an apartment. She has some friends over for a housewarming party, and they play around with a Ouija board, and then all kinds of weird shit starts happening. And she starts, she doesn't really get possessed, but like she finds out that the woman that used to live in the apartment above hers hung herself, and you find out that that woman was like all into occult stuff and all kinds of freaky shit. So it was good. I don't know if I would like super hardcore recommend it, but it was a really quick read, and I'm way behind on my Goodreads reading goals, so I needed some short things, as you can probably tell by Fantastic Beasts and the Vampire's Assistant. I wanted to get through some stuff. And the last book that I just finished last night is The Merciless Three, Origins of Evil. Or I guess Origins of Evil is part of the name. It's on pages instead of The Merciless Three. I have a love-hate relationship with these books. I really, really hated the first one, so much so that... And I talked about this in, like, the Books I Hate video that I posted. Put a link to it somewhere. It's old and crappy, and forgive me for my poor ability to do anything right. But I read The Merciless in one night because I hated it so much. When I hate a book, I don't just put it... If I dislike a book, I'll put it down. If I hate a book, I will speed read it just so that my hatred is justified. And I've always been that way. I don't think I'll ever change that. But I bought The Merciless because I thought it had a cool cover. Never really heard anything about it. Read it in one night, hated it. I thought it was nothing but torture porn, and there was no clear indication until the very, very end if there was actually something supernatural or if it was just some girls being stupid and fucking with each other. So, there was that. Then, I guess a year rolls around, and The Merciless 2 comes out. And I see all of these people raving about it on Facebook and Tumblr, and I'm just like, I don't really want to read the second one, but everyone says it's so good, and everyone says the first one's so good too, but I just don't see it. So I buy the second one. It took me a couple days to get through, and it was okay. It was better than the first one, in a shocking turn of events that the second book is better than the first book. Because in the second one you know that it's something supernatural, and you know that it's not just girls being bitches to each other. Then this one came out, and I'm like, I don't really want to spend money on it because I know I'm not really gonna love it, but I need to see this through to the end, and I think this is the final book in the series. But it was okay. It wasn't my favorite book ever, but it also wasn't like the worst book ever, and I did enjoy it more than I did at least the first one. It's been a while since I read the second one, so I can't really judge the two, but I know that I like this one better than the first one. All of her books, because I read Survive the Night too, they seem very rushed and almost forced. I don't know, I feel like she has such a good premise for all of this stuff, but it all feels very rushed and very forced. And I feel like she could have done so much more with her premise, but I don't know. It was an okay book. I finished it in like 2 days, because they're really quick reads already. It doesn't take long to get through, but now I can close that chapter of my life. But hopefully I can finish A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Heaven by Corey Taylor tonight, and then I'll make 8 books for the month of July, which I think is the most I've read in 1 month in a long, long time. But yeah, hopefully I'll have read 8 books this month. If not, I still have 7. That's still a pretty good accomplishment for me, especially like as much as I've been working the last couple weeks. But yeah, bye.